Have you ever felt like no matter what you achieve, something's still missing? Like you're doing everything right on paper, working hard, staying busy, checking off goals, but deep down, there's this quiet emptiness you can't quite name. Maybe you've scrolled through your phone at 2 a.m. searching for something you can't define. Maybe you've looked around at your life and wondered, is this it? Is this all there is? You're not broken. You're not failing. You're just searching for meaning in a world that's forgotten how to teach us where it comes from. Here's what I've learned and what I want to share with you today. Meaning isn't found. It's made. It's not hiding somewhere out there, waiting for you to stumble upon it. It's something you build moment by moment through the choices you make and the values you live by. By the end of this video, you might see your own life differently. Not because I have all the answers, but because sometimes all we need is permission to stop searching and start creating. Let me tell you a story. Not too long ago, I was lost. Not in the dramatic life falling apart kind of way, but in the quiet, suffocating way that's almost harder to explain. I had a routine. I had responsibilities, but I didn't have a reason. I'd wake up, go through the motions, and fall asleep wondering what any of it was for. I tried everything. I read self-help books. I set goals. I chased achievements, thinking that if I just accomplished enough, the emptiness would go away. But it didn't, because I was looking for meaning in all the wrong places, outside of myself, in things I couldn't control. Then, almost by accident, I started making these videos. At first, it wasn't about purpose or meaning. I just wanted to share something positive, something that might help someone else feel a little less alone. But something unexpected happened. The process itself became meaningful. Not because the videos were perfect or because they reached millions of people, but because I was creating something that aligned with what I valued. Reflection, growth, connection. I stopped searching for meaning and started building it. And that shift changed everything. If you've ever felt that same emptiness, drop a like or comment below, because you're definitely not alone. And maybe, just maybe, we can figure this out together. Let's talk about why so many of us feel this way. Why do we spend so much of our lives searching for meaning in external things? Jobs, money, success, validation from others. Why do we believe that if we just find the right career, the right relationship, the right achievement, everything will finally make sense? The truth is, society has taught us to chase purpose rather than build it. We're told that meaning is something to be discovered, like a treasure buried somewhere out there. We're told to find ourselves, to figure life out, as if there's a single answer waiting for us at the end of some long, exhausting search. But here's the problem. When we look for meaning outside ourselves, we give away our power. We make our sense of purpose dependent on things we can't control. Other people's opinions, external circumstances, fleeting achievements that never quite satisfy us the way we thought they would. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Not your circumstances, not your achievements, your thoughts. The way you interpret your life, the meaning you assign to your experiences, that's what determines whether you feel fulfilled or empty." And the statistics back this up. Studies show that nearly 70% of adults report feeling a lack of purpose at least once a week. 70%. That's not a personal failing. That's a cultural crisis. We've built a world that prioritizes productivity over presence, achievement over alignment, success over significance. So let me ask you, have you ever felt that pressure to figure life out, to find your purpose as if it's some hidden puzzle piece you're supposed to discover? If so, leave a comment. Because I think a lot of us are carrying that same weight, and maybe it's time we put it down. The ancient Stoics understood something we've forgotten. Meaning isn't something to find. It's something you express through action. Marcus Aurelius didn't sit around waiting for his life to feel meaningful. He was the emperor of Rome, facing wars, plagues, betrayals. And yet, he found purpose not in his circumstances, but in his response to them. He wrote in his private journal, now known as Meditations, that our duty is to live according to virtue, to act with wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline. Not because it guarantees happiness, but because it aligns us with what's good. Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, taught that we cannot control external events, only our reactions. He said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is the foundation of meaning. Not what life gives you, but what you do with it. When we do what aligns with our values, even small acts of kindness, even quiet moments of integrity, we create meaning, moment by moment. We don't need a grand purpose handed down from the universe. We need to live in a way that reflects who we want to be. Think about it. When have you felt most alive, most fulfilled? I'd bet it wasn't when you achieved something big. It was probably when you helped someone, created something, or simply showed up as your best self in a difficult moment. That's meaning, not found, created. If this part resonates, leave a like. It really helps more calm thinkers find this channel. And let's keep going. Now, let's bring this into the modern world. Because the Stoics were onto something, and modern psychology has proven them right. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is built on the same foundation. Our thoughts create our emotional reality. The way we interpret events, the stories we tell ourselves about our lives, these shape how we feel and what we believe is possible. When we're stuck in negative thought patterns, I'm not good enough, nothing I do matters, I'll never find my purpose, we create a reality where meaning feels impossible. But when we reframe those beliefs, when we focus on values-driven actions instead of chasing happiness, something shifts. Research in CBT shows that focusing on values-driven actions increases long-term well-being more than chasing happiness itself. Because happiness is fleeting. It comes and goes. But meaning? Meaning is something you build day by day through the choices you make. Here are a few affirmations that might help you reframe your thinking. I am not lost. I am learning. Meaning grows where attention flows. Small steps create big purpose. These aren't just nice words. They're reminders that you don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to take the next step. You just need to show up, even when it's hard, and trust that meaning will emerge from the process. Gratitude journaling, mindful awareness, values clarification. These aren't just self-help buzzwords. They're tools that help us rebuild a sense of purpose from the inside out. They help us stop searching and start creating. Here's the paradox. The more we search for meaning, the more it eludes us. The more we obsess over finding our purpose, the more lost we feel. What if meaning was never something to be found, but something to be lived? What if the act of creating, caring, or simply being present was enough? Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, wrote in Man's Search for Meaning, "Those who have a why to live can bear almost any how." He discovered, in the most unimaginable suffering, that meaning isn't dependent on circumstances. It's something we create through our response to life, through the values we uphold even in darkness. Purpose is discovered through doing, not thinking, not endlessly analyzing, not waiting for some cosmic sign. Doing, acting, creating, showing up. So let me ask you, what's one small thing that gives your life meaning? It doesn't have to be grand. It could be a conversation with a friend, a walk in nature, a moment of kindness. Reflect on that, and if you feel comfortable, share it in the comments. I'd love to hear what matters to you. So how do we actually build meaning in everyday life? How do we stop searching and start creating? Here are a few simple, relatable practices. First, do one small thing each day that aligns with your values. If you value kindness, help someone without expecting anything back. If you value creativity, make something, even if it's imperfect. If you value growth, learn something new, even if it's just for 5 minutes. Second, help someone without expecting anything back. Meaning often emerges in service, not because we're trying to be saints, but because connection and contribution are fundamental human needs. When we give, we remind ourselves that we matter. Third, create something. Write, draw, build, cook. It doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be seen by anyone. The act of creation itself is meaningful because it's an expression of who you are. Fourth, reflect at night on what gave your day significance. Not what you accomplished, but what mattered. What moment made you feel alive? What choice aligned with your values? This simple practice trains your brain to notice meaning instead of overlooking it. Meaning grows through consistency, not grand gestures. It's the small daily choices that build a life of purpose. If you're enjoying this journey so far, consider subscribing, not for numbers, but to grow a space of calm thinkers who want to live more intentionally. Let's build this together. Here's something we don't talk about enough. We often confuse purpose with perfection. We think that if we're struggling, if we're confused, if we're going through something hard, then we must be off track. We must be failing at this whole finding meaning thing. But that's not true. Meaning can exist even in suffering, confusion, or change. In fact, some of the most meaningful moments of our lives come from our hardest times. The Stoics had a concept called amor fati, the love of fate. It means embracing everything that happens to you, not because it's easy or pleasant, but because it's yours. It's your life, your story. And when you accept that, when you stop resisting reality and start working with it, chaos transforms into purpose. Think about the great philosophers, writers, and ordinary people who found meaning during their hardest times. Viktor Frankl in a concentration camp, Marcus Aurelius during a plague, your neighbor who lost everything and rebuilt, your friend who turned grief into art. What if your struggle isn't a detour, but the very path you were meant to walk? Let me know below if you've ever turned a difficult time into something meaningful. I'd love to read your stories, because I think that's where the real wisdom is, not in theory, but in lived experience. Let's bring the energy softer now, calmer. Because meaning isn't just about action, it's also about stillness. Gratitude, mindfulness, and self-expression are anchors for meaning. They ground us when everything else feels uncertain. Gratitude reminds us that even in the midst of struggle, there's something worth appreciating. Research shows that people who regularly practice gratitude report 25% higher life satisfaction. Not because their lives are perfect, but because they've trained themselves to notice what's good. Mindfulness brings us back to the present moment, where meaning actually lives. Not in the past, not in the future, but right here, right now. When we're fully present, even ordinary moments become significant. And self-expression, through art, words, action, or silence, builds our identity and purpose. It's how we tell the world and ourselves who we are. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, wrote, "Life is long if you know how to use it." Meaning isn't about how much time you have. It's about how you spend it. It's about presence, intention, and alignment. So here's where we land. Here's the truth I want to leave you with. Stop waiting for meaning to appear. Create it through your actions, your values, your presence. You don't need a grand purpose handed down from the universe. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to show up, day by day, and live in a way that reflects who you want to be. If this video spoke to you, leave a like or share a comment about how you're creating meaning in your life. It helps build a calm space for thoughtful minds. And if you'd like to be part of this journey, subscribe, not for numbers, but for growth, reflection, and peace. Let me take you back to where we started. Have you ever wondered what the point of all this is? The truth is, there doesn't need to be one, because the point is what you create. You are not lost, you are learning, and meaning is waiting, not out there, but within you, in every choice you make, every moment you show up, every small act of creation and care. Thank you for being here. Thank you for reflecting with me. And remember, you don't find meaning, you make it.